You're my auction goer.
I was there at the bust at Watt's house that day when those guys hauled off the. Where did you go to auction school?
Mankato, Minnesota.
And what's it called?
Oh, it's changed hands. Continental Auction Company, yeah.
And how long was the curriculum? How long was the?
It was a week.
Oh,
It was a long week. Yeah.
And in that week, of course, you've done some auctioneering previously, right? But did they teach you? Is the word cry? You cry in auction.
Yes.
Did they teach you how to cry in auction?
Yes, and then it really messed me up.
Yeah, I was going to say, did it change your style?
It did. Yeah, it really messed me up because I had my own way of doing it. And then, you know, with all the rest of them there, you got to do the chant with that group, and that was different from what I was used to. So I had to come home and continually do it on my own and make my own lingo. I mean, you don't know how many times these light poles between here and Jefferson have been sold. You know, and you drive along and you do fence posts, and that would be a bid. And so, thank God I never got a speeding ticket in my life. But I caught myself doing 100 mile an hour because I would get going. And then the post would come and I'd do another one, and then I would foot kept going down.
If there's a, as you think about your cry and the way you do that, is there something that would be, if we had other auctioneers here, if we said, so what is Colonel Dale Higgins, what's he known for in his cry? What would they say? What is your distinctive thing?
What I get is that I'm fast, but I always started out this way. I wanted people to understand me. I don't use a lot of filler words, and that was one thing that they taught us to throw in filler words and make that like a livestock auctioneer, which I don't know, but use the filler words. And
Give us an example of that.
Well, you do 2, 3, 4, and you put digit 5, and you throw in bids and different things you throw in there. It's hard to say. Yeah. And so I try to keep it so people understand where I'm at, because you listen to a lot of auctioneers, you don't know where they're at.
And you started too, instead of using the filler words, you would mention the names of people in the crowd that you knew to acknowledge
Yes.
that they were there, and they
I
something
would,
like that.
I would a lot of times be sitting here and never miss a beat and talk to somebody over here. You know, and we're talking over here to you, and I'd be trying to you about selling something and saying more over here. And I just felt that was better for me to acknowledge the crowd, and basically it was a way of saying thanks for coming, acknowledge they were there. You know, but actually it was kind of a filler word, you know, some of the words that they talked about, and it didn't fit me. You know, you gotta do what fits you. And somebody asked me once, said, well, if you sing, it's kind of a singing chant. And I said, no, I can't sing a note. And I think I told Denise, Carson Griffith, which everybody knew, I said, Carson, teach me to sing. Why? I said, so I can do my auction. I said, you just keep doing what you're doing. And I did 4 auctions for him through the years. His mother, dad, and his granddad, and then him, a friend of his, and then him. Yeah, he was a good guy. Go ahead, Joe.
Forgive me if you've already talked about this because my ears aren't that good. But
I can relate.
do you always have to have somebody helping you? Like if they see a bid as
Yes, my
you
ring.
see, they go, whoop.
Yeah, back in the day, we'd have ringmen people helped me through the years, a lot of them have passed away. And that's kind of, one of my really, really good ringmen passed away during the COVID time, and I can't, he just knew what he was doing. It takes a good ringman to pick up the right thing off the table and to find a big, it takes a certain person, you know, and so, and I can do that too, we need good ringmen out here, because you could look, I mean, I can, and they did, and I'd have them on each side of me, but they could look at this table and tell which one was going to be next. You know, you could just tell. You know. And Chuck knows that, because he didn't even know.
Okay.
Or your wife.
Yeah.
I get her bid.
Yeah, you did, that's
I
right.
did, with the little flower.
Yeah, from Oblingers. I
Yeah.
just told my table over here that was my proudest purchase that day, a lady's hat from Oblingers. Two questions, and then I'll shut up. What was your biggest take, I mean, not your profit, but the biggest total sale you ever conducted? And then second question, what would you, after all this time, what do you think is the oddest single item that you ever sold?
You know, I've been thinking now over Denise asked me that. Probably the biggest, probably over $2 million on a farm.
Wow.
The oddest thing, I don't really know for sure. The craziest thing is one time I did an auction for a family. We ended up doing 5 auctions for the family. But the first one out we did for the dad. And we went to a shed, numerous sheds, and opened the door and here was a helicopter, a gyrocopter. And I said, "Did your dad fly it?" He said, "Yes." "Really?" And I never thought that. He said, "Yeah, it's a 15 feet." And he said, "You see that long tongue right there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I had that hooked to the pickup, and I was in front of him." I blew it up. We come back down, and he waved at me, and he shut the thing off, and said, "Put it in the shed." And that was so that was kind of an odd thing. But the oddest thing is I really thought I'd won with that. Because when I was a little kid, the little books you get, I always had that little build your own driver. And a friend of mine that flew helicopters and he was not fighting. And he stood by me and said, "Do not buy that today, because you will get killed." And I didn't.
Hey, I remember when we bought that building across the road,
Yeah.
and you auction, pretty soon you just stop, and I thought, he's gonna bid again, is he someone, and you just stop the sale. So, did you stop that sale too soon? Anyway, we were happy to get the
You got
building.
the building.
But I always thought, I think you stopped that before the other guy was
Had
really
a chance. What you got?
We did.
Yes, I was instigator to get this building here. I did an auction for the first fundraiser of this building right here. Sold lots and lots of dollars and just stuff to get going.
He sold a rock. Bob Osberger brought over a big rock.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lady in town one time. She was a school teacher, old school teacher in town. And she probably was in her 90s. We put her in a home and I did her house and the home in South Des Moines here in South Rancho. And we got all done and her daughter took all the little tickets. At that time we had little big tickets. And she come back in the afternoon and stopped to see her daughter. And said, "What Mom thinks?" Says, "Oh, she had them all laid out in there." She goes, "One thing I can see is stuff that's worth something isn't worth anything." And then Mom said, "And where in the heck did he find the Indian rock on our property?" So the Indian found it in the rock and called it an Indian rock. And she goes, "Electric skillet can't get away." I said, "Yeah, that's true." different websites, but you go to, like, when I have an auction going, it'll be on DaleHigginsAuctions.com.
So I have to know the auctioneer, find,
Yeah.
not just yours, but somebody else.
You can search for online auctions, just search, and it'll show up different auctions throughout the United States and Iowa.
And if I wanted to select an auctioneer, how is the best way to do that? I mean, so if somebody doesn't know, I know you and I know.
Just do your research.
Do people have specialties, auctioneer specialties?
Some have specialties with the online thing now. A lot of people are going to specialties. You know, they strictly are going to do farm equipment or things like that. A lot of specialty ones. This is what's working for me now. But I don't know what I go into, especially I've done so many different types of auctions through the years. You know, I love to get into them museums is what I like to do. I hate to see them go like the one we did in Grand Junction. I hate to see it go.
You said it was a 2-day auction. Did you get everything that Kennedy sold?
Yes. And that was an interesting auction because all through my career, every auction is different. And I always said, someday, I wish I had 2 of everything. So I could prove that to people, that how much difference things sold. And Jared Kennedy of course, he probably had 20 of everything. But I split it up in 2 sites, and exact same things on there. And some things that on the second sale maybe brought $10, brought $300 on the first one. Some things that brought $10 on the first one, the exact same thing brought $500 on the next one, for example. And so I got my wish to always to show people that, you know, every sale is different, depends on who shows up or who gets online. His was online, of course. Yeah, COVID changed it a lot. I couldn't do them for a long time in person, so I just stayed with on doing it.
I went to the auction on a steam engine down in Oklahoma, and the auctioneer shut it off really fast. And I told him, I'm like, hey, you cut that off a little fast. I got no one to bid on that. I was already bidding. The ringman dropped it or something, you know. About 3 years later, I get a phone call from him, and I said, well, I got your engine. And I said, okay. Well, there was another auction in Nevada, and he bought that one. And then guys were at that auction and said, we don't know what was happening. He was rolling along, and all of a sudden he just said, sold.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny.
Sometimes that happens. We don't like to bow out quick because, you know, we do it by commission. We'll just take bids till midnight. Are there any other questions? I could have brought more sale bills up and stuff. People wouldn't know that one tricky.
Were you in Webster City? Is that your brother that did that?
Yeah, I got my brother in the 80s.
That was a big auction.
Yeah, machinery.
Did you help him any or?
Yes.
Yeah. We went up there quite a bit, I just couldn't remember.
Yeah. Yep, we did lots of machinery.
Is he an auctioneer too?
Yes. But he only did it once, one time. And he just hired me. Yeah, he just didn't like it. My boy worked for me in my mechanic shop for quite a few years. I tried to, push him and couldn't even take it. So.
Dale, did you have an auction barn here?
Yes.
This was yours? You still do that?
I still do it, yeah.
Well, I think when I was a kid, it seemed like every town had a big auction.
They did.
Like maybe a livestock auction, but then you would have other stuff too.
Yes, every town had them. Junction had one. Down in here, they had an auction barn. Rippey had them. Jefferson had them. It was south of town. I think they had one on the north end of town too. We had quite a few different auctioneers from here. The Wolfses, and then the Wolf have an auction barn in Jefferson. And that wolves that was running around there feeding you, that would have been a great big nephew. Yeah, but they all the towns have
But they're pretty much gone now.
pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's hardly any more barns left. The one Rippy's still there. I don't know what kind of shape it's in, but the old sale barn, are pretty much all of them.
Guys, I can still, there's quite a few out of itself.
Any other questions? Did that answer all your questions? Give me a little-
Besides yourself, who do you think is the best auctioneer you've ever heard of?